turmoil in Southeast Asia, the Vietnam War. More than 1,000 Americans missing in action or being held prisoner. Families back home waiting for answers.
One day we got abrupt notice that he has been shot down.
Michael Shelton was 9 years old, living in Okinawa when his dad, Colonel Charles Shelton, a pilot in the Air Force, was shot down over Laos on his 33rd birthday in 1965.
He was running around free for 3 days and then captured.
He remembers his father.
And I do remember distinctively Dad being very affectionate towards his children. I can remember him picking me up often, tickling me, throwing me up in the air.
The youngest of 5, Joan Shelton, was only 18 months old when her father was shot down. She has no memories of him.
Mom's always said that I wrote like him and thought like him, and just reminded her of Dad a lot.
Their mother, a whole different kind of prisoner. Marion Shelton's hands were tied, trying to get answers for decades about what happened to her husband.
I considered my dad as a prisoner of war, and my mom was missing in action.
Some answers came from the government, reports about their dad's courage while held captive.
Just outright belligerent and assaultive if he could get away with it. Dad was deemed incorrigible by his captors.
After escaping a few times, he was kept in a hole in the ground with a grate over it, guards standing over him 24/7. Charles Shelton stood his ground, protected his country.
During an interrogation, he beat 3 men to death.
There were conflicting reports for years. They never knew if their father was still alive or dead. Some POWs and M.I.As were declared dead by the U.S. government. Marion Shelton wouldn't allow it, not without proof her husband was in fact dead, and that meant going to Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia in 1973 for answers.
Snuck into Laos illegally, and she was just a real go-getter. She would not let them push this under the rug.
Colonel Charles Shelton has never been found. Not him, not his remains.
This issue has haunted our family our entire lives. It has left its scar on each of us.
The headlines changed. The missing Air Force pilot, a prisoner of war, alive or dead. Stories shifted towards the courageous wife, but little by little, the mystery ate away at Marion.
It just took over and enveloped her.
In 1990, she committed suicide.
She just couldn't take anymore.
Just a few years later, the 5 children made a decision to put it all to rest.
I still think we may get answers someday, or we might get some remains. You never know.
They pushed and had the government declare the last official prisoner of war from the Vietnam era killed in action. The story changes. A chapter closed, wounds still open.
I feel sad. It's still a little bit hard for me to talk about it.
But there are sweet spots in life. The brother and sister take a trek from Louisville to West Point, Kentucky.
Is this Norma?
Yes.
To meet a woman who never gave up on the Shelton family.
You too. Are you a son?
Yes.
All because of a P.O.W. bracelet she bought in 1973. By chance, Norma Brewer's bracelet was engraved with the name of a Kentucky man, Colonel Charles Shelton.
I was going to save mine, and when he come home, I wanted to give it to him.
Oh, bless your heart.
But he never did.
He never came back.
No.
Norma thought about the Sheltons often, clipping articles and jotting down notes about the family, including the names of Colonel Shelton's 5 children. There's an exchange of bracelets.
Norma, here's a later version I want you to have.
So I want y'all to have.
Well, thank you so much, Norma.
A telling of stories.
So he had 5 kids before 33.
A chapter in Norma's life that is closing.
And there's quite a date spread here too, Norma.
Yeah.
Turning over years of articles scrawled with handwritten notes of hope.
It's almost like Norma's was an angel all these years, overlooking Dad's fate.
And what really touched me was her giving us the bracelet that she wanted to give to my dad.
Colonel Charles Shelton is commemorated in his hometown of Owensboro, Kentucky, standing tall and strong in the forefront of the memorial named after him. On the other side,
The families that are left behind suffer a great deal also.
another kind of hero.
I think it's a story, it's it's a thing that needs to be told.
I often will wonder what our lives would have been like if we never had lost Dad. I'm sure it would have been monumentally different.